Welcome to my channel, C.S. Lewis Spirit. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and forgotten stories in all of angelic history. The angel more powerful than Lucifer and Michael, the untold story of Metatron. Have you ever wondered if Lucifer was called the brightest of all angels, and Michael was heaven's greatest warrior, then who could possibly stand above both? Who could carry the voice of God itself, and yet remain hidden from the eyes of the world? This is not just another legend from old scriptures. This is a story buried in light and shadow, a story that begins long before the war in heaven, long before mankind ever took its first breath. It begins with a man, not an angel, a mortal who once walked among us, humble, wise, unseen. His name was Enoch, but destiny had chosen him for something far beyond human understanding. As the world grew darker and men turned away from the divine, Enoch was lifted body and soul into the realms beyond the stars. There, something extraordinary happened. He was not destroyed by the fire of God's presence. He was transformed. The mortal became immortal. The man became the angel. The voice of God himself was placed within him, and that voice had a name, Metatron. Now imagine this. An angel who speaks with the authority of God, a being of light so vast that even archangels bow in silence before him. Michael, the great commander of heaven's armies, stands beside him. Lucifer, the fallen morning star, once his brother in radiance, now burns with jealousy, because in the hierarchy of heaven, there was suddenly one more powerful than both. But why would heaven create such a being? Why would the Almighty give his voice to a former human? Some say Metatron was chosen to bridge the gap between the Creator and creation, to be the divine scribe who records the fate of every soul. Others whisper that he guards secrets even angels fear to speak, the knowledge of how heaven truly works and what lies beyond it. Yet not all in heaven accepted this transformation. Lucifer's pride could not bear the rise of a human above angels. The balance trembled. The first spark of rebellion flickered in his heart. And in that tension, in that silent jealousy, the story of light and darkness truly began. Tonight, we'll uncover what the ancient texts really say about Metatron, the angel who became the voice of God, the being whose power even Lucifer could not comprehend. But as we explore his rise, we'll also confront a question that heaven itself may never answer. What happens when a human becomes too close to the divine? Stay till the end, because the truth about Metatron might change how you see heaven forever. As Enoch entered the realm of pure light, time itself seemed to bend. He no longer felt the weight of his body or the limits of human thought. Around him stretched endless radiance, the sound of creation humming through the air like an eternal heartbeat. But within that beauty was something else, something watching him. Countless eyes of angels shimmered in the light, whispering his name, unsure if a mortal even belonged there. Michael, heaven's great warrior, stepped forward first, calm, powerful, his wings glowing like forged silver. "This one," he said softly, "is chosen." But behind the brilliance, not every angel agreed. Some questioned why a human should walk in places even archangels feared. Whispers spread through the ranks of heaven. And far beyond them, in the farthest shadow where light faded into thought, Lucifer watched. Lucifer had once been the morning star, radiant, perfect, loved. But now, for the first time, he felt something he could not name. It wasn't anger. It wasn't hate. It was the sting of being replaced. How could a human, frail and temporary, rise to hold the voice of the Almighty? Meanwhile, Enoch, unaware of the rising storm, was taken before the throne. There, he was given knowledge no human mind could contain. The light burned through him, reshaping him into something new, Metatron, the angel of the presence. Yet, as he took his place near the divine light, he felt the unease ripple across heaven like distant thunder. Every word he spoke carried the echo of creation itself. But every whisper of his name stirred jealousy, curiosity, and fear. Somewhere beyond the shining gates, Lucifer's thoughts began to twist. And with each passing moment, the first seeds of rebellion quietly took root, unseen, unstoppable. Heaven grew quiet in the days that followed Metatron's transformation. The air itself seemed heavier, as if all creation was holding its breath. Metatron walked among the angels, his presence surrounded by light that no other being could fully look upon. His voice carried power. When he spoke, the stars seemed to tremble, and even Michael bowed his head in reverence. But beneath that shining calm, a deep unrest was spreading. Lucifer's questions turned into doubts, and doubts became whispers. "How can a human stand above those made of divine flame?" he asked the others. His words, gentle at first, began to twist like smoke. Some angels agreed in silence, others looked away. But the seed was growing, and it was no longer hidden. Even Metatron could feel the unease each time he entered the courts of heaven, the way wings stilled and eyes followed him. He did not want to rule, he only wanted to serve. Yet the gift of the voice made him something too great to ignore, and too dangerous for pride to accept. One day, when the light of the eternal burned brightest, Lucifer approached the throne. His voice was calm, almost sorrowful. "Father," he said, "we were made from your own light. Why then is a man, made from dust, placed above us?" The question echoed across heaven like thunder. No answer came, only silence, deep and infinite. That silence became a wound, and from that wound came a storm. Metatron stood on the edge of the heavens, his heart trembling as he felt the energy shift, something ancient and powerful awakening. He looked toward the distant horizon, where light met shadow, and there, for the first time, he saw it. The gathering of wings, dark and bright, preparing for something that could change heaven forever. The skies of heaven shimmered with uneasy light as Metatron stood still, sensing the tremor that rippled through the divine realms. What began as a whisper of unrest had become something far greater, a quiet gathering of power beyond the edge of radiance. Yet what Metatron did not know was that this tension was not only shaping the angels, it was also changing him. The voice within him, once calm and pure, began to speak in ways he could not fully understand. It revealed things, memories of creation, patterns of time, and a secret buried deep within the fabric of heaven itself. One night, if heaven had nights, Metatron stood before the river of light, the boundary where divine truth flowed into eternity. There he heard a voice, faint but clear, and it was not God's. It was his own. "You were not just chosen," it said. "You were made to replace." A chill ran through him, though there was no cold in heaven. Replace? Replace whom? The answer came in silence, but the silence said enough. The balance of heaven was shifting, and Metatron, unknowingly, was at its center. Meanwhile, Lucifer's resolve hardened. He had not only questioned the decision, now he questioned the order itself. The other archangels saw it too. A change in his light, something fierce and sorrowful. Michael confronted him in the garden of pure flame, where truths are never hidden. "Brother," Michael said softly, "do not let pride blind you." Lucifer turned away, his once gentle glow now sharp and restless. "It isn't pride," he whispered, "it's clarity." And while they stood in that eternal light, far beyond them, Metatron began to see visions, flashes of worlds yet unborn, skies breaking, and angels falling like stars. He felt torn between what he was and what he was becoming. The voice within him grew louder, urging him to speak a command he didn't understand. Then, suddenly, a new presence entered the scene, one that no angel had seen since creation itself. A figure wrapped in pure, golden fire stepped forth, neither fully light nor shadow. The moment it appeared, every sound in heaven ceased. Even the river of light froze mid-flow. Metatron felt his heart race, something impossible in the divine realm. This being called him by name, not as Metatron but as Enoch. And in that single word, everything he thought he knew about his purpose began to unravel.